A residential building in southern Gaza has been hit during another night of Israeli attacks. At least 15 people were killed in the strike in Rafah. The injured were taken to nearby hospitals, which remain overwhelmed. Israeli airstrikes also destroyed a mosque and several houses in Khan Younis. More than 23,200 Palestinians have been killed since October the 7th. Let's find out the latest with Hani Mahmoud, our correspondent on the ground. He's live from Rafah in the south. Hani, another difficult night for all of you. Please tell us about the latest strikes and where they've struck in Gaza.
Yes, well, once again, there is no let up in the attacks on civilians across the Gaza Strip. Just another reminder that there is nowhere safe and there is no safe place for Palestinians. This place, Palestinian, particularly in the southern part of the Gaza Strip, everybody was expecting a de-escalation of the aerial bombardment campaign as the war entered its third phase. But what we're seeing is the contrary, exactly the contrary, a surge in the targeted killing as the Israeli military announced 2 days ago. And we're seeing here as of overnight residential homes here at the western side of Rafah city, Tel Sultan area. That's close. That's in fact the entrance of Al-Mawasi evacuation zone. There's a main leading road to the entrance of the evacuation zone, very close, and it just caused a great deal of concern for people who are inside their tents in the Al-Mawasi evacuation zone. But we're looking at 15 people have been killed. The vast majority are among women and children, and all happen to be from one family, Nofal family, who were sheltering in that residential home. It's the owner of the residential building, their in-laws, their relatives, all took that residential building as a shelter from the horror of the ongoing war. To the eastern side of Rafah city, the eastern border, particularly the Israeli military is still conducting its artillery shelling and a war of a clearance of the entire area by raising more agricultural land and attacking by heavy artillery shelling all the residential homes at the eastern side of Rafah city. That's exactly at the eastern side of Salah ad-Din road. In Al-Buraj and Al-Maghazi, the Israeli military continued its bombardment by land and by air. Artillery shelling on Al-Maghazi and Al-Buraj, where at least 6 people reported killed as of early hours of this morning.
Right.
Again, people were looking at the de-escalation, but what we're seeing is the exact opposite, and there's a growing fear of that might increase.
So no de-escalation, Hani. How are hospitals coping under these conditions?
Well, there's mounting pressures on hospital, particularly as we see a surge in the aerial bombardment and the increase in the influx of injuries reported to the hospitals. We're looking at the central area where Al-Aqsa Hospital, since the beginning of the war and within the past few weeks, was the only remaining functioning hospital in the central area, functioned at the low capacity possible, just giving the tsunami of injuries reported to the hospital, where doctors had to treat some of these injuries right at the floor of the hospital, given that the hospital ran out of space, ran out of medical supplies, and ran out of every essential element that could help it survive. But what's tragic about what happened in the hospital, which represent a catastrophe for the healthcare system in the central area, is the eviction notice by the Israeli military when it ordered some 600 medical staff and patients to evacuate the hospital. And of course, this did not happen voluntarily. It happened under heavy artillery shelling and massive airstrike that targeted and damaged the vicinity of the hospital. Just a great deal of concern over the national staff that remain in the hospital, and just a setback for this particular medical staff community trying to survive.
Hani, thank you very much for that update. Hani Mahmoud reporting there live from southern Gaza.